Hello, it's me and my little spicy potato frig. We're just here just to let you know that we are starting the reading of my next book, Cuckoo by Anthony Doerr. This is actually a book that I was lent by a colleague like months back, and then kind of forgot I had it, and she was also like, it's not super urgent and stuff. So I didn't really spend a lot of time on it. But I then found it again when I was doing my little TBR shelf review where I picked Stranger of Tempest. And I was like, ooh, I better read this, especially because I'm looking for a new job. So I should give it back to my colleague before I find a new job. And it actually got 5 stars. And I did read the back, but it just didn't win. But I'm doing it now because I gotta give it back. So I'll let you know what I think. And I think Frig likes to read it too. Look at her. She's very happy about it. Right. I'll see you in a bit. Hey, I'm about halfway through, so Cuckoo. So I just wanted to give a quick update. I haven't read this book for a long time. My colleague gave it to me. And she was like, I love epics, and I think you'd love this epic. And I was like, okay. But I think it was something within me where it was like an epic, and it was very thick, and I was like, And then when I think epic, I think like long chapters, like hard language to kind of get into. And I think that's one of the reasons that I didn't start this book sooner. Because I was like, oh, it's quite a commitment, and it's going to be probably quite difficult to read, and yada, yada, yada. And then I found it again when I was doing my video about picking a book by its cover. And I was like, I really should give this book back to my colleague. So I was like, do it, Christine, read it. And I am so incredibly glad that I did. As you can see, there's already loads of bookmarks of bits that I really like that I might want to read to you. And it is actually not at all how I thought it would be. You know, it's not at all like difficult language. It's beautifully written. Like, it is really, really pretty. But it's not like you kind of have to read sentences multiple times to kind of get the meaning of them, sort of thing. Not like reading Shakespeare, say. And actually the chapters are quite short. Like, so like this is a chapter, and then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. So that's not that long, right? So that actually has, I think, helped me read these 270 odd pages actually really quickly. Like, that's almost a book. And I only started this like a week and a half ago. So I'm really, really enjoying it so far. Before I started reading this book, I saw a few different things from people being like, I didn't like this book. I don't understand why people like this book so much. And I was like, oh no, am I gonna be like that? You know, am I gonna be the anti-book club person? But no, I am really, really enjoying this book. As you might know, there's like 5 different people in this book, across different time periods and different places in the world, and you're basically dipping in and out of their lives. And I thought I wouldn't like that. I thought it would be like, oh, it's gonna be hard to take, like, to remember who's who and to like keep up with all of the individual stories. But again, I haven't found that at all. They are all so well developed, which kind of, I think, shows a good author, because sometimes you have like proper like chapters full of character for some of the characters in a book, and you're still like, I feel like I don't really know who they are. And here you only dip in for like 6 pages here and 6 pages there, and yet you have a whole understanding of who they are as people. So, and like their intricacies and different lives, and I think that's quite a skillful thing to do. So yeah, I'm really enjoying really enjoying it so far. I think I'm gonna probably, well, definitely finish it before the end of the year. It's also a very lovely book to read in the current time that we are in, because it's all about the like power of storytelling and how things live on beyond us and all of that. So yeah, I'm really loving it. And I'll let you know my final rating and my final thoughts when I'm done. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of this, so yay. Right, here we are, and I finished Cloud Cuckoo Land. As you can see, there's a lot of bookmarks. You can also kind of see how, like, I read like the first, let's see, when was the first thing? I read like the first like 90 pages of this, just reading it, and then I was like, oh wait, I should mark things if I want to talk about them, just because I was so engrossed. So as I already talked about in my halfway through update, I loved the book, and I was like, please don't change, please don't change, please don't change, because sometimes it does. Yellowface is a great example of where the ending just completely changed my rating of it. But it didn't change. I still love this book. It is a 5-star read for me. I loved the writing of it. It was very beautiful but accessible. I loved the pace of it. Like, it didn't feel too long. It didn't feel too short. It felt just right, and I got through it quite quickly. I loved the characters in it. They were all very different, diverse, and touching on different things, which I will talk about a little bit more later. Yeah, I loved this book. Like I said, it's about 5 lives in different time periods and different places, who are all connected by this like one piece of story, which is gonna try and find it now. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Antonius Diogenes. And basically, in every being in this time, in this book, is being touched by this book in some way, shape, or form, and connected by this book. And I started this book around the time of the presidential election, and despaired at the result of it. It was actually a great book to read because it was all about the everlasting nature of storytelling and how stories are passed on from generation to generation to generation, and how we tell stories still now that were passed down to us from like the Greek and the Roman times, and they might have changed and it might have been, reinterpreted, but there's still like the essence of the stories remains. And the story actually itself is quite a silly one. It's about a man who is striving for more, and then in the course of like his journey, it's like a little like journey sort of story, he becomes a donkey and becomes a bird and gets swallowed by a fish. So it's a very like extraordinarily like silly story in many ways, but it still touched all of these lives in a very, very meaningful way. Oh god, I'm gonna start crying. And I just found that very beautiful, and just the perseverance of beings and stories, and the passing on of things. And yes, times may be very hard and may feel very hard right now, but we will get through it. Life will go on. Life will find a way, right? Yeah, it talks about the importance of libraries a lot as well. There's a lot of libraries mentioned in it, which I love because I love libraries, and I think libraries are so important. And another topic that it deals with a lot is our treatment of the earth, and like our abuse of the earth, but it doesn't do it in like a preachy way, in like a how dare you. I love Greta, but I'm just saying, how dare you treat the earth in this way. It does it more in this like in this mention of things. And I actually have a quote. I had to be, because there's so many, I had to be like super like organized and actually to like give them like little numbers so I can do this quicker. Yeah, this is a beautiful one. It says, you are lost if you forget that the fruits I'm gonna say that again. You are lost if you forget that the fruits of the earth belong equally to us all, and the earth itself to nobody. How beautiful is that quote, right? So yeah, just beautiful. And something else that it talks about a lot, which I personally feel extremely passionate about, as you might know, maybe not, I have some furry children, They are my only children and will remain my only children because I'm not really interested in children. They're lovely, but just not for me. But I love my furry children. They are literally a piece of my heart, and I cannot bear to think of when they're no longer with me. I have owned in the past animals as well, and they are all still with me. So I feel very passionate about animal rights, animal abuse. And this book talks a lot about the love for animals and also the mistreatment of animals. And I've got some quotes for that as well. So this one is actually from the story, but even within that story, it talks a little bit about the mistreatment that we do for animals. So this is after, I forget his name. I want to say Ethan. Gets transformed into a donkey. Through my big nostrils, I could smell roses growing in the last garden at the edge of town. Oh, what a sweet, melancholy perfume. But each time I veered to investigate, the cruel robbers beat me with their sticks and swords. My lord poked my ribs through the saddlebags, and my unshod hoofs ached, and the road wound higher into parched, stony mountains in the north of Thessaly. And again I cursed my luck. Each time I opened my mouth to sob, what came out was a loud, pathetic bray, and the knaves only whacked me harder. So that's like kind of talking about the mistreatment of donkeys, I suppose, which we do abuse donkeys in horrible, horrible ways across the world, really. Yeah, it's just horrible, horrible. And then the second quote I have is from one of the 5 characters in the book. His name is Omer, and he has a very, very loving relationship with 2 oxen. And this is another thing I love about this book. The animals that you encounter and that people have very loving relationships with are not a dog or a cat. They are an oxen or an owl. And I think you can find love with animals, with any type of animals. I personally love all animals. Like, I love spiders, I love snakes, I love whales, I love like any type of animal. And I think they all have personalities and love to give to you, and you have love to give to them. God, I'm gonna cry. So he loves his 2 oxen that he reared from when they were very young. And this is at a moment where they were having like a very dangerous moment with the oxen. And he's basically trying to help them. Don't look down. Show the oxen that you can meet all of their needs. If you stay calm, so will they. His heels hanging over the chasm, Omer ducks Moonlight's horns, shimmies around his flank, and speaks directly into the bullock's ear. Come, brother, pull. Pull for me, and your twin will follow. The ox tilts his horns to one side, as though considering the merits of the boy's requests. The bridge and the cliffs reproduced in miniature in the dome of his huge wet pupil. And just when Omer is convinced that the matter is lost, Moonlight leans into the harness, veins rising visibly in his chest, and holds the wheel of the dray back onto the bridge. Like, just beautiful, the gentle nature of Omer that he's displaying with his oxen is really great. I mean, you probably saw how beautiful the writing was there as well. And I have one more that I wanted to talk about as an example of, and this is actually, so Omer's oxens are being used to basically carry very heavy loads. I'm not going to go into like why and stuff because that might be spoilery territory, but basically Omer and his oxen are employed to carry very, very heavy loads, and all the oxens and animals in this kind of train that are carrying these heavy loads are being mistreated quite a lot, and too much is demanded of them. And this is a moment where basically one of the oxen is just not dealing with it very well. So Omer ducks in among the animals. When he touches Tree's hind leg, the bullock shudders. Mucus drains in twin streams from his nostrils, and he licks the roof of his mouth with his enormous tongue over and over, and his eyes vibrate gently back and forth in their sockets. Their surfaces look worn and foggy, and carry the distant dreaminess of cataracts, as though the past 5 months have aged him 10 years. So yeah, just that description of like how this like animal abuse shows up in the animals was just that book made me cry multiple times. It's just so horrible and so so difficult and so like I don't. Oof. It's hard. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the 5 characters in the book. Before I go into spoiler territory. So I'm only gonna talk like about some small bits about the characters that you kind of get quite early on, partially on the back of the book as well. So the first character you actually meet is Constance, and Constance lives on a spaceship that is leaving Earth and going to a new habitable planet, because clearly we have destroyed